What lies ahead, and particularly what lies ahead for the oil and gas industry? Well, first of all, we have the energy transition to deal with. And this is an enormous, complex process. And as the years goes by, we found ourselves it's more and more complex. It will take different paths. It have different pace, depending where you are. And the energy transition has a different meaning altogether. Somebody who doesn't have energy at all has his transition or her transition. It's very different from somebody who sits comfortable in one of the metropolis in Europe. Very different. So, what are the solutions? What are the solutions here? You're following the debate. You hear ways forward. You hear hydrogen, you hear solar, you hear wind. Yes, these are the ones, but these will not change the fact. The world 30 years ago was 84% dependent on fossil fuels. Today, it's 84%. And I bet you, by the end of this century, it's not going to be much different. Yes, we have progress in finding other way, but it's simply not enough. There is no clear path to net zero. Gunvor, my company, we have invested millions of dollars in technologies, the proven one, the solar and wind, which we should do as much as we can. But also, shall we say, more visionary things like green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is not the solution. It's just too expensive. It adds 4 to 5 times to the price of an already green energy source. And it's difficult to transport, and it's difficult to build the infrastructure around. But still, policymakers have made up their mind about fossil fuels. I'm a member of the World Economic Forum's Gas and Governors Group, and we have these discussions behind closed doors among ourselves and discuss also with policymakers. And there is a frustration that nobody wants to listen. And we become a punch bag in the debate about what the future will be. We're blamed for bringing the energy the world so desperately needs to the market. But we all know in this room, without the oil and gas we have today, the world will not be in such a good place. It is the base for the prosperity that this globe has done. And there will be, obviously, a trade-off between this, the right for everybody to have energy in affordable form, and right to have an economic development, against the fact that we have to reduce the CO2 emissions. It's clear. It's not denial about the fact that fossil fuel has a role to play that, and the majority of us think so. So what shall we do? First of all, the oil and gas industry has to be invited to the table. We are sitting with the facts. Every one of us are spending money to find good solutions. We can compare the costs. We know what is possible. Sometimes when you meet policymakers, they seem to have the answer to what we should do before they even ask the question. And when you ask them and you talk about, what do you know about e-fuel? They don't know, actually. They just hear it's good. It's slogans. But it's convenient. But I do think that the people have the right to know the facts and make the painful decisions if they want to, meaning use less energy at a high cost. But I'm an optimist. I think this can be done both ways. And I think the oil and gas industry will move forward and be taking a much more assertive approach to what can be done. Give you a simple example. A huge amount of electricity provided in the world comes from burning coal. If you could change that coal for gas, you halve the emissions, right? That's a pretty good start. This is actually better than any other solutions we have today on a large-scale basis. And it's also better for the near-term atmosphere. You know that. So the industry is in full-fledged to try to develop its own emissions reductions technologies. I mean, in the US, we should see the result of that. We're talking about direct air capture of CO2. And we can avoid flaring. We can bury it underground. There are technical solutions because gas can be brought to the surface in an extremely cheap way. And you can spend quite a lot of money on cleaning it and still have an affordable energy. The problem is, if you talk about that, the answer from it is, yeah, you just want to preserve your own business. Of course, no CEO wants to be fired for saying the wrong things. And yeah, it's actually like that. And so you don't say that. But it is time to speak out. I don't have any shareholder who can fire me, so I can say these things. So, obviously, as you see what I conclude to, there's no way that the oil and gas market, oil and gas, will have the substantial role in the future energy mix. There's no way around that. And as soon as we realize that that's the way, I think we can get to practical solutions.